News and Talk, WAOK, the voice of the community. Right now, it is currently Sunday, October the 5th, 8:38 in the morning. Beautiful morning going on. If you just heard that interview we just had, that was with Executive Director of Voter Empowerment Collaboration, Mr. Danny Millen. Make sure that you guys are out there October the 11th at Liberty Church, trying to empower people for early voting, man, and trying to get that youth active. So I know this next interview we have lined up is something that you guys is interested and excited for. I know you've most likely seen this brother on TV, seen him around everywhere, but right now we have him exclusively on News and Talk, WAOK. Can we please give a warm welcome for none other than former Georgia Lieutenant Governor and Democratic candidate for governor, Mr. Geoff Duncan. Great morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Good morning to you.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. So first and foremost, I thank you for making some time today. We know you're a busy person, but of course, we know brothers like yourself is always going to make room to speak to the community. So first, for those who may not be familiar with who you are, could we just get a quick elevator pitch of just some background information about yourself, Mr. Duncan?
Yeah, Geoff Duncan's got an interesting story like everybody else. I lived in 7 states growing up and got to Georgia in high school. Figured out that I was a really good baseball player and went to Georgia Tech and played baseball and got drafted by the Marlins and spent a bunch of years playing professional baseball. Business guy, family guy. I've got 3 awesome kids, married to my high school sweetheart. And politics for us is something that is our way to give back to the community. We've always been focused on on turning chaos into conversations, and that's really what my career's been about. I think that you have to ask yourself every day when you show up to work, when you're in elected office, what does love require of me today? And sometimes that means you're saying you're sorry. Sometimes that means standing up for somebody that doesn't have an advocate. Sometimes that means just trying to figure out how to do the right thing. So that's Geoff Duncan in a capsule.
Man, I love that. And just to kind of just get it started off with the first question, what is really made you want to decide to run for governor this time around? I mean, in this climate that we're currently in, it's everywhere, honestly. So what made you decide to run for governor this time around? And we can get into the meat.
Yeah, I served as lieutenant governor for 4 years. I was a Republican at the time and started becoming very disenfranchised with kind of the Republican platform and approach. I won't go deep into those weeds because I think they're pretty obvious for somebody that wakes up every day and wants to ask yourself that powerful question of what does love require of me? And during those 4 years, I learned a lot. I learned, how impactful a pandemic can be, civil unrest, and certainly what happens when a president tries to steal an election from a state, and what happens when you push back against those narratives. Fast forward a few years, I've switched parties, and really the main genesis behind it is because I think we have to love our neighbors. And when you love your neighbor, that doesn't have an asterisk mark next to it. The Bible doesn't tell you that, you should or shouldn't love somebody. It just says you should. And, I think as a Democrat now, it gives me the opportunity to do that. And I learned how important the job of governor is in Georgia. You get to set the first draft of the budget. You get to set the legislative priorities inside the Capitol. And you also get to build the agencies to focus on those that need the most help in our state. And for me, that's what this is about. It's about making sure we use the state government to focus on those that need it the most, and to create an awesome environment to raise your family, run your business, retire, be safe in your streets. Those are the things that I think most Georgians really want their state government to do. And that's what I plan to do as a Democratic nominee in this general election.
Love that, sir. You pretty much kind of answered my next question, but I want to kind of pose it in this way. So what are the main issues facing Georgia that inspired you to launch this campaign, and how do you plan to address them if you are elected?
Yeah, I think most Georgians wake up really nervous about 3 things. And I think they wake up nervous about the affordability crisis that's hit our state. I think they wake up and they're worried about the healthcare crisis that's hit our state. And just being very blunt, honest, I think most Georgians wake up and they're worried about this Donald Trump crisis that's hit our state. I think that's the 3 things that affect most Georgians. And certainly every one of us has our own other issues that we face. But those are the 3 core issues. And I think as Democrats, we have an incredible opportunity opportunity to be disciplined and focused on those three issues. And for the first time in nearly 30 years, a Democrat winning the governor's race, to really set up the priorities of our state government, to really work with communities to build consensus, even across party lines, because the alternative is very dire. And I don't mean this to fearmonger. But if a Democrat doesn't win this governor's race, then essentially we're going to elect Governor Donald Trump to run our state, because Burt Jones is going to be the nominee from the Republican side, and he's proven, in his words, not mine, to be subservient to Donald Trump. And he's just going to hand the keys over to Trump, and he's going to set our education policies. He's going to set our state government priorities. He's going to run our budgets. He may even send troops to our streets. And to me, I think most Georgians wake up and don't think that's the best next step for us.
Absolutely. So I actually do some work right now in the initiative ELCC, which is Emerging Leaders for Community Change, powered through the Carter Center. So I get a chance to kind of hear a lot of these conversations in the background, and I always make sure I bring WAOK along with me. And one of those is something that you kind of brought up earlier, which was the attacks from our current president, Donald Trump. So since 2020, you've actually faced public attacks from Donald Trump and his allies, some even directed at your family. So we want to know, how have those experiences shaped your political stance and your approach to leadership?
Well, it's certainly difficult when a sitting president of any party or any position, attacks you. You certainly, get undue criticism, but it has been difficult at times. I mean, we've had armed guards out in front of our house. We've received death threats, but for our family, it's just brought us closer together. It's made us really gel around the reasons why we're in office, and truly, it does come back to that point of, what does love require of me? And in this particular point in time in my life, it requires me to stand up and to be bold and to be courageous as I possibly can, to do the right thing. And the right thing is beating Donald Trump and anybody that he would think is his clone, because I think Georgians not only want better, but they deserve better. And that's really where we're focused at. There's a lot of criticism that comes our way, but when somebody doesn't have facts about why an election was stolen, when somebody has unfair, inhumane ICE raids just to simply make a social media post, when folks destroy the healthcare system of our nation, when folks don't care about our communities, when they turn their backs on farmers in rural America, those are real serious issues that affect Georgians. And so this is that time and age. I can either hide in a closet and be worried that Donald Trump doesn't like me, or I can stand up and be bold and lead us into a better future for Georgians. I've chosen the latter.
Correct. And I know we're approaching up at the end of this interview, but I wanted to make sure I highlighted that question, because in a time that we're in right now that really just teaches people to dehumanize people, I think hearing that human side could really draw people a bit closer to wanting to hear more about your story. So one thing that we know now, you're on a statewide tour on healthcare. Woo! We know a lot of that is being attacked right now from our own person that's actually in office. So you're currently on a statewide tour focused on protecting Georgians' healthcare. What key challenges in healthcare access have you heard from your voters during this tour, and what specific policies would you implement as governor to tackle them?
Yeah, Donald Trump has decided to attack Americans in weaponizing our healthcare system. I mean, right now, there's so many folks listening to this that may not even know that their healthcare is in extreme danger of their healthcare coverage. I mean, some folks are not going to be able to maintain their position on Medicaid because there's so many cuts because of the federal budgets. Some folks are going to lose their healthcare coverage because the ACA subsidy is disappearing. And some folks just can't afford it. I mean, these premiums are doubling, in sometimes even higher than that. So, just because somebody doesn't have health insurance doesn't mean they don't get sick just as often. They sit at home and make that horrific decision of deciding whether or not they just stay home and deal with their own medical issues themselves, or they go to the hospital and bankrupt their families because they can't afford to cover the health coverage. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing a genuine scared tone in people's voices in urban areas, suburban areas, rural areas. And as governor, we have to close the gaps. We're going to have to use some of our own state resources. We have $17 billion right now sitting in our rainy day savings fund. As a state, we need to take 10% of that at least and laser focus that on helping people have a jump start up and out of these difficult situations. We need to expand Medicaid. We need to look for opportunities to close job gaps and skill gaps, improve education, maternal mortality. There's so many things that we can do looking forward as a state, but we've got to make sure we elect the right people, because if we elect Burt Jones or whoever else the Republicans pick by Donald Trump's signature, then we're going to run the risk of not focusing on the things that matter the most to Georgians. I feel like Geoff Duncan gives Democrats the absolute best chance to win in November, because we'll have Democrats, independents, and disgusted Republicans show up and vote for Democrats for the first time in nearly 30 years.
Mr. Geoff Duncan, man, we appreciate the time that you took to speak with us. We just want to know, in a final closing, for listeners who want to learn more and get involved with your actual campaign, could you please let us know the best ways to stay connected with you and your team so we can be able to support?
Absolutely. Thanks for the question. Go to duncanforgeorgia.com, duncanforgeorgia.com. You can sign up to volunteer. You can get more information about the campaign. You can also donate if that's something that you feel called to do. We're going to be working this state hard. I've won statewide before, and I know it takes hard work and effort, and to continue to cover the state like the morning dew every day.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, sir, and you enjoy the rest of your morning. We'll be speaking soon.
Thank you.
Awesome. All right, you guys, you heard that loud and clear. That was none other than Geoff